Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome to Kids, What We're Watching Tonight. I'm Andrew.
I'm Isla.
And we watched
Predator.
Now. Here's the weird thing. So when Predator first came out in when was it? 1987. It was an 18.
Okay.
We watched it because Sky Movie said it's a 15.
Yeah.
So before we get started, was it gory?
No.
You don't think so?
No, not really.
Like the skin people, the guy getting the whole of the back of his head blown off, Carl Weathers getting his arm shot off.
No, when he got his chest exploded and there's like everything flying out, that was the only part that like.
Or Blaine when
he got shot through with the taser.
Yeah, that's a nasty alien taser.
Taser face.
Just destroys you. Yeah, maybe that's why his face looks like that. Because he got tasered by a predator. Anyway.
Yeah.
But you didn't think it was that bad?
No, the people who were skinned kind of scared me, but like at first glance. But then once you like actually look at it, you're like, that looks really bad.
Yes. But the funny thing is, the bit I tried to point out, I don't know if you noticed, the bit where Carl Weathers gets his arm shot off, he's holding his gun and he gets shot through the arm and he locks his arm and his fire's still shooting. As the predator runs around him, you can actually see his hand is taped behind his back.
Oh yeah, you showed me, yeah.
Yeah, because you can see where his elbow is, but it's like in front of his elbow he's got like all this tatters of skin that's like, hold on, he's just tied it behind his back.
Yeah.
Which was, they tried to do a really good camera trick, it didn't work, but I think in the moment you only see it like for a fraction that you're not really paying attention. And then equally you have like the people like, you never really see what happens to Shane Black, the writer, the first one to die.
Yeah.
Like he tells the woman just to calm down, and then the jungle, you know, she gets a big splatter of blood across her face.
Oh yeah, and the jungle takes him.
Yeah, and then you just see like a big pile of bloody sausages.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good.
Yeah, it's
just
like a pile of like blood. It looks like jelly that they've kind of like put a knife. They've like cut up a big bowl of jelly, just dumped it there, and it's like. I mean, what's this supposed to be other than a bowl of jelly that they've sliced?
Well, it's supposed to be his intestines and stuff like that, but it doesn't.
It doesn't look like intestines.
No, but it can be pretty. I thought that would be the first hurdle. I thought once you saw that, I didn't think the skin guys were that bad because you only see them for a second. But I thought that was the first bit where you're like, "Ew, that's a bit gross." It's like they've just left his guts on the floor.
It wasn't too bad.
Okay, so group of commandos dropped in the jungle.
Yeah.
Most of the first part of the film, you don't even see it.
Yes.
But you didn't like this, but you thought the special effects were a bit. Well, you thought the invisibility was a bit.
I thought they could do it a bit better, but I don't know how they could do that because the person needs, like, we need to be able to see where the predator is. Like, if they were trying. So if
he was completely invisible, you wouldn't see him at all.
Yeah, and then you would be like, the only time you saw him is like the last 10 minutes where his invisibility and he's
broken.
fighting Arnold. But he's like, how else would you do that? So that's the only part I was like, other than that, the whole thing looked good. The infrared camera did annoy me though.
Okay, but yeah, you got to remember, like, you know, this is 87. That was like high-end stuff, and I remember reading somewhere it's like they couldn't use an actual infrared camera because the place was too hot. They had to use another camera and then go over it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually animated it, if they took footage and like actual normal film footage and then went, right, colour this bit in, colour this bit in, colour this bit in.
Yeah.
These bits are brighter and these bits are darker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's things like that. So it's not until about the big gunfight.
Oh, well, the guy's just the
MIDI gun
mowing down the whole forest.
That's
awesome. That's still the best part.
That's an epic gunfight. That is just like...
Because no one questions it. Everyone's just stood there, like, firing their guns, and you're like, has anyone told you what you're firing at?
Yeah.
You could literally be firing at a fly, and you're there, like, wasting a whole round.
I wish it'd be funny if they had something like one of them tripped and like fell over and started shooting, and then they all came in and started shooting, and the guy's like, no, wait, it's a mistake, I fell over, and they're like, kill it. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah.
So you don't actually see the predator at all. You know,
you see his highlighter fluid blood though.
You see his highlighter fluid blood, but you don't see him until quite a way through the movie. What did you think of him?
I thought it looked great for a costume in that time. I thought that actually looked really, really, really good.
Well, I mean, you've seen I mean, you've got aliens in like the Star Wars films and stuff like that. And
I think they could upgrade if they were to redo it. I think they need to redo the hair, like the dreadlocks, because I think that did just look like pool noodles. Like it did.
To be fair,
it did
probably
just
was.
look like pool noodles. But honestly, like the whole costume looks really, really good. So
I did watch the newest one not that long ago. There's not a lot has changed, but there's a lot more of it that's digital, if you understand, because they can get away with using digital stuff. But no, I still think the monster effects.
Yeah.
There, even at the end when we'll do the end later on, but even when he takes off his mask,
it still
the actual
looks
face
great.
effects
Are really, really good.
are pretty cool. But as an action film, I mean, I still think it's one of the...
I feel bad for the actor who actually had to be in the costume in the middle of a boiling hot forest.
Well, there was a... it's a shame at the end because at the very end when they run the credits, they show you each of the actors. And it's like, you know, it's like a little like 2-3 seconds as they put their name on. I think somebody chucks a gun at Carl Weathers. Jesse Ventura standing there. You see
Arnold's
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
just like...
Arnold's just been Arnold.
No, he's doing a smouldering glare.
Yeah, he
Like-
is a bit. He's more like muscle smouldering because he's like there with his big biceps and he's just like.
They're like beach balls.
Yeah.
It's like you've stuck 2 volleyballs to your biceps and put a flab of skin over
And just
it.
pulled skin over it, tight skin over the top of it. But yeah, so you get all them, and then it fades to black, and then it says the Predator was paid by, I think it's Kevin Peter Hall.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I think that's a bit unfair. They should have actually given him the credit to say this is the
Yeah.
actual actor, or had a picture of him in the costume with his head. I can see.
Or had a picture of a costume and like the head's not on him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the costume worked, but I kind of feel sorry for the guy. I'm sure he got an awful lot of work.
It's probably like they'll have had his face in, and then they'll put like 2 metal, like pipes, like a Muppet.
Yeah, but they might have had to pull it like from the rather than go over the top of his head. They might have had to pull it from the front
back. Yeah.
against. But yeah, they
You
should
don't see the back of his head, so that wouldn't
because
shock.
it's covered in pool noodles. That's fine.
Yeah.
That would be an easy way of hiding the back of his head.
Yeah, because they'll just have it. It'll be like a swim cap. They'll like have put a half-on swim cap and then covered it with like noodles.
So I kind of feel for him because everyone else gets their credit, and it's a small film. I think they could have put his face out there, but that's beside the point. But yeah, he is one of the bigger stars.
Yeah.
But yeah, as an action film, I still think
It's very, very good.
Did I force you to watch this one? Kinda.
Yeah.
Or did you want to watch this one?
You said that we needed to watch a film.
We needed to watch an 80s action film.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, Predator. And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, you keep talking about it, we might as well.
We still have Die Hard to do.
I know, yeah, we'll get around to it.
Still though, the pinnacle action film, which slightly segues, is Aliens.
I still want to watch it. That's one I want to watch. And I want to watch Aliens vs. Predator, because I think that's so funny.
The Aliens vs Predator ones weren't bad because off this film. So oddly enough, I'll go to my little chit sheet here. So the budget for Predator was only 18 million. 3.5 million of that was Arnold's wages. So that's you down to like 14.5 million to make the film. Though I'm assuming he got paid after it was made. Once he had the money coming. And it made 98 million. Apparently, when it came out, it didn't get very good reviews.
So it's like a cult film. It got better
Well,
over the years.
I think that's the American gross was 98 million. Now, bearing in mind, so Arnold had made Terminator in 1984, for which he was paid £75,000. In 1985, he was paid $2 million to do Commando. Terminator kind of put him on the map. He'd done all his he was well known through his, bodybuilding and stuff like that. He'd done Conan, and there was a few other films in there. Back there, they, used to release more films, if you understand.
Yeah.
So that was 84, he did Terminator. 85, he did Commando. Couple of years. 87, he does Predator. He gets 3.5 million. Next film, Red Heat, 8 million payday. So it obviously did well enough to make him a big star. By the 90s...
Is he in the second Predator film?
No.
No, okay.
We'll watch that soon. Because we can compare the two.
Yeah.
But not only did this kind of launch him as a big action star, this launched the Predator brand.
As a big action, yeah.
As a big action thing, because this brought out like comics, books. Most recently, I think...
What films are there? So you've got Predator 1, Predator 2, the 2 Aliens versus Predator. And then there's the one more, just Predator...
There's Predators, and there's The Predator, which is the new one.
Yeah.
So Predator 1 and 2
The two aliens.
are fairly well linked
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. The Predator links back to the original one. I don't know if it tries to skip the second one, but it definitely links back to it links back to the original one in one sense, and in the second one in another sense of this agency trying to chase the Predator. Predators is a weird one whereby they basically nick criminals and mercenaries and put them on a planet and they hunt them.
Yeah.
So they take the worst people from Earth and hunt them. And that is actually, I have to say, that's actually not a bad film if you just completely turn your brain off and watch it. It's not
very thinky.
No, but it has nothing to do with the other Predator films.
Ah.
It's like the Aliens versus Predator ones. There was a lot of good material of aliens and predators meeting, and it only happened because, like I said, at the back of Predator 2, you see a predator's trophy room, and there's an alien skull in it, which, as everyone pointed out, is impossible to do because aliens bleed acid, and so surely in the process of skinning it, it would melt its own skull.
No, because bones can survive acid. That's how when you vomit, that's how your teeth don't disintegrate.
There is that to consider, but
Yes.
theirs is like acid that burns through metal and everything else. And admittedly, it doesn't.
Your stomach acid can burn through metal, so whenever you vomit,
Yes.
it doesn't burn your teeth. Your bones are stronger. So
But
yes,
but
it
the
does
argument-
make sense.
Okay, so it makes sense to you. It doesn't make sense to me because there's scenes in the Alien film where they, in certain Alien films where they actually just completely melt. That was the argument at the time, that you would never be able to get a skull. I'm sure the Predators with all their fancy tech would have just like cryo frozen it and neutralized the acid and just like chipped the skin off or something like that.
Yeah.
They'd have done something to it, so that would be fine.
They had a way.
They did. They found a way. Ah, I got that one in there.
Yeah, you should.
Not you. I got that one in.
I know the way.
No way. So we need to call Neve through because we're going to discuss the end of the film now. So hold on a second.
Hi.
Okay, being joined by...
Neve.
We now move on to the end of Predator.
The
Yeah.
part where you actually see the predator.
Predator.
Yeah.
Well, so you joined when it's the final showdown.
I joined
Arnie's-
when he's covering himself with mud.
Yes, and we get the whole preparation scene.
Yeah.
The mud, the traps, the bow and arrows, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
The shirtless Arnold.
The shirtless Arnold and the Tarzan scream.
Sounds like a Wookiee.
That'd be awesome.
You should play a Wookiee.
Predator versus Wookiee.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Who would win, Predator or Wookiee?
Predator versus Wookiee versus aliens.
No,
Okay.
no, no.
I say Wookiee would sadly lose. Wookiee would
Yeah.
because he's got laser guns. He can mimic people's voices. He's got
Apparently, though, Wookiee can pull your arms out of their socket.
Wookiees can, but like Wookiees are no good at
Wookiees
long
are
distance.
nice. Are they not?
Well,
They're just not killers, are they?
They're not
No.
killers. They're so.
No,
But the
that's
thing is, Chewbacca, he's like a stormtrooper.
He doesn't hit stuff all the time. He
Yeah,
keeps
no.
missing.
He
Okay.
keeps missing.
Whereas a Predator
I
doesn't
hit,
usually
and then
miss.
I miss, and then I hit again, but then I missed again.
Yeah.
So the final battle, man versus alien.
Yeah.
So just before he takes a mask
Man
off.
versus Predator.
Man versus Predator. So before he takes a mask off, do you think it works?
Yes.
Him like being low tech and the Predator being all high tech?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he takes a mask off.
He's like, I want to fight you properly, and he's
Yeah.
like, fine.
He takes out the plugs near his face.
Mm-hmm.
It's like plugs and stuff. He takes them all out, and then Al just looks at him like, "You are ugly."
Worried that you're going to say something else. I was worried that you're actually going to quote the film there for
No,
a second,
no,
Eve. I will let
answer.
you off. No, you're not, but that's fine.
Wow, how they did the Predator's fit is amazing.
It was really cool how they did
Like
it.
I know it's older graphics. I know someone's face and it's supposed to
There's
go
no graphics. It's like proper.
prosthetics. Sorry.
Yeah.
Prosthetics aren't supposed like no one's face goes that far out the front of like your mouth and nose.
Oh yeah, but it's
But it's-
funny when you look at it from the side, because then this thing looks like a meter out of his face.
But it looks good. It
Really
works.
weird.
It
Yeah.
works somehow.
I think they tried to film it as much from the front or
Yeah.
with it moving.
But it really works. It's
Because
good.
With
there's
its weird mandible.
because there's a scene where I think where it takes it off and you see him from the side and he kind of scream like he throws his arms open, he screams at Arnold, and you see him from the side and you do see that this is like a great big thing. It's coming about
out of
half a
his-
foot out of his face.
Yeah.
Which is obviously where they've obviously done something like a crash helmet style thing where they've got a chin guard and it's just
Mhm.
sticking out. But if you look at it from the front, the
It looks
perspective of it looks
great.
really good.
And the dreads work with it. The dreadlocks just look great with it.
They kind of look like pool noodles, though. We've decided they're pool noodles.
Probably.
They're black pool noodles.
Yes.
That's the easiest thing to get into it. But then they have their big manly one-on-one fight.
Yeah.
And it still goes on for quite a while. No, you know,
It's a good long fight
It's a good
Yeah.
that works.
is it a good ending?
What's the ending again?
Where he kicks it. So he sets the trap where it's supposed to pull him up into the spikes, and the
Yeah.
predator figures it out. So he walks around the other side.
And he pulls-
Spoilers. And he kicks the counterweight, which is like a massive tree
Yeah.
and just
that squishes him.
But then he starts laughing like a really evil, like a good evil laugh. Like, you know, have some really bad, like a good evil laugh, and then
Mhm.
you hear ticking, and Naruto's like, "It's a bomb!" Dun! And like Naruto runs away.
Well, he doesn't Naruto run away, but he does
He
run
just
away.
He just runs.
He
Uh-huh.
runs fast in the speed of
I
light.
suppose in this, I mean, it's good in the sense that it hides, because in other stories and stuff, it was implied that it never happened because Arnold couldn't prove that it actually happened. There's no evidence that there was an alien. There was no ship. There was nothing ever found. I think that's in one of the comics, and made it all up. But
Oh, that's sad.
yeah, but the second one kind of. I'll try not to reveal too much because we're going to watch it, but the second one reveals a bit more about what they're...
Can I watch it?
No, I'm pretty sure it's still a 15 or an 18.
But I still...
My box...
You watched the least gory part of it,
Yeah,
Nate.
but I was
If it was
Skull
an
Island, that's gory.
If it was an... Yeah, but Kong Skull Island is a 15 by current standards, whereas Predator was an 18 and is now a 15. So it's still...
Iffy.
It's a 16 and a half, I'll say.
16 and a half.
I
You know,
just
it's-
turned 16, so it doesn't quite...
It's a bit, it's a bit in between there.
So a 17.
No, 17 is too close to... No, like 16 and a half sounds
Yeah.
right.
But I'll have to see what Predator 2 is, because I've got the box set through there and they're both 18s.
You said that Terminator was violent,
Yes.
and that was quite good.
No, you watched Terminator 2,
Yeah, that one.
which was violent.
That was
And it was quite good, but Terminator 1's a bit more.
Because there was no, like, what's it called? Effects back then. So you just said there's not good effects, so they just slathered everything in blood.
Pretty much, yeah. Which makes it an 18. And I'm pretty sure it still is an 18.
Probably would be.
But yeah, but my Predator films, they're both 18s. And yet on Sky, they're now marked as 15s. Man, you guys watch some violent stuff.
Yeah, but
The
you
new
were
Hellboy.
like...
The new Hellboy's violent as.
No, but you were like,
That should be an 18.
oh yeah, maybe it's changed over the time, and maybe it isn't as violent as it used to be, which you let me watch it then.
Yeah.
I always remember it being bloody, because I always remember there's a lot of blood, like when the guy gets shot through the chest.
When the three men are hanged, skinned.
Yeah. I never thought that was too bad, but when the
No.
guy gets shot through the chest and when the guy gets the back of his head blown off.
What about when he gets dragged away by the jungle?
The jungle.
You don't see it, that's just a blood splash and, like you say, a big pile of jelly.
Yeah.
But the bits where people are actually bleeding. I mean, the Carl Weathers getting his arm. Dylan!
Oh,
Dylan.
yeah.
Dylan! When he gets his arm blown off, it's not.
It's
There's
the
not
guy,
a lot
it's
of
the guy
blood
who
if you
gets
understand.
shot in the stomach.
I've
It's
not-
the guy who gets shot in the stomach that has the biggest gore thing.
I've
Yeah.
not seen this movie, and all I can think about is like this random thing, like a guy's arm gets blown up with like TNT.
It's the
things
problem is
come out from people's stomach.
the problem with the arm scene. There's no blood.
Yeah.
It's like you don't see it like gushing out of him or anything like
Because
that.
sometimes when you gush stuff out, it looks really fake. So you see like these splatters. And
Yeah.
It's really bad.
But then the funny thing is when the guy gets shot in the head, you know, where he's like climbing under. He's
he's
Billy,
climbing
I think is. He's
underneath.
going underneath the wood and he sees the 3 triangles, and
Oh, yeah.
he like moves his head across to see what it is, and he realizes and it blows the back of his head. There's a lot of blood there.
Oh, yeah.
That just kind of flump, but you don't see anything because it all just splats onto the camera, and there's some goopiness in there as well. And I always thought those 2 bits were the worst bits, but I suppose seeing them now, like the blood's a bit like.
Gooped.
No, it's a bit. I mean, it looks the wrong shade of red if you understand. It's got the
Yeah.
wrong consistency. So I don't mind it being a 15, but it's
But
not
nowadays-
entirely a modern 15.
the nowadays 15, one I don't agree with was Birds of Prey. That's hardly violent.
Yeah, but that's because of the drug use.
That was because of one scene, but that
No,
was...
the whole movie's all about drugs, Neve.
Shh.
The whole movie's about drugs.
Don't tell Daddy.
No,
Whatever.
but the main one was in a compartment area where there's stacks of it. That's
Yes.
the main...
Yes.
And the guy who slices the
Other guys.
father's face off.
That isn't...
And then he
100,
frisbee
that's-
throws the face.
he does frisbee throw it.
Oh well, off
It's
topic.
You're not really
Off-
helping yourself here, Nibby.
Off topic. We're still talking about Predator.
Well, no, part of it, I suppose part of it is, now, if it was still an 18, I wouldn't have shown it to you.
Yeah,
I don't know the rest
but
of it.
because modern critics are saying that they
Are you
don't
leaving
think
us?
it is.
Yeah, because I don't know the rest of the movie.
Okay, seems fair.
I don't know about this blood and
Say goodbye to the podcast.
Bye, podcast.
Good
Yeah.
job. But if modern critics are saying that it's a 15,
Yeah.
then
I don't know how they do that, because when they submit it to be... So when they originally submit it to be rated, it goes before the British Board of Film... British Board of Film and Film Council or something like that, and they say, right, this is going to be such and such a film. Or the director will say, you know, we think this is a 15.
was it an 18 in America?
I don't know, but it's like... I remember going to see Lethal Weapon 2 in the cinema, and it was a 15, and then when it came out on, well, video back then, it was 18. And I was like, that's a bit weird, because I've seen this film, I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it was different in America, and that's if it was, say, a 15 in America, and when it
Maybe.
came to Britain, they were like, oh yeah, which is your copy's British. So they'd be like, oh yeah, but this is an 18. So Sky is taking the American rating for it of a 15.
I don't know, Sky's probably allowed to go... There must be something where they can say, oh look, we want to reclassify this, or we're going to classify this as this. Do you have a problem with it?
Yeah.
And maybe somebody will watch it and go, no, not really. Like, if we're going on about classification, I always used to think that Jaws was the wrong classification.
What's Jaws?
Jaws is a PG. Now, the shark's really bad.
Yeah.
So this is where Jaws and the Predator are fairly similar.
Yeah.
Both of them, for like most of the first half of the film, you don't actually see them. So I know I know the Predator comes out of the jungles, but you literally see it for a few seconds.
It's in that, that panorama of the whole jungle.
Yeah.
It's apparently in there. I want to look at that scene
See if you
and
can
try
find
and find it, because apparently you can see it.
He's in there somewhere. But the
other panel.
so you
is
don't
easy.
see the actual Predator. You just see the outline, and it's not until obviously he heals himself that you get a good look at him without his camouflage on. And then even after that, there's a few scenes where you still don't... the scene where he's caught and he gets hoisted up into the nets.
Oh yeah.
You
You barely see him. You see like you see him for like a split second without his invisibility,
Ability.
and then he's just back into it and
Yeah,
he runs off.
and he runs off, and then that's where the other two guys...
That's where the big
Dylan and-
Molo,
Yeah.
like they cut down fire at all the trees.
No, so this is later on. So after
Oh,
they've done
sorry.
that, they set up the tripwire
Yeah.
trap, and it does catch him, but he shoots. It's not Billy. He shoots Poncho, or he shoots something, and the log swings and hits Poncho. Remember, and they have to carry him, and then Dylan and Mac go running after him to chase him. So you see him for a few seconds there, but even in that scene, he's still camouflaged.
Yeah.
It's not until the very end,
Do you really get a good look
until
at
the
him?
fight with Arnold, that you actually see what it is. So it's the same with Jaws. A lot of the film, you don't see the shark at all. They've either used footage of actual sharks and just made them look bigger.
Yeah.
They had a fin on a rail, which they pulled along, and that made it look... that gave you the shark effect that there was one in the water.
Yeah.
But it's not until the last 15 minutes of the film, you actually see
This massive shark.
the shark, which looks terrible. But once again, they cake it. There's the scene where it eats Quint, and the scene is just caked in blood. It's like it's all over
And
the
that's
place.
a PG.
And it's a PG. And I always thought, it's going off topic again. I liken it to The Shining. It's a different kind of shock when the woman gets eaten at the start of Jaws. you can't see what's happening to her, which makes it all worse.
Yeah.
So she's getting...
But then you also said when we were watching Predator and talking about this before the podcast that everyone knows what a shark looks like. So it's kind of intriguing that they've tried to hide it because, as you said, the robot kept malfunctioning when they were filming it. So it's like almost like this, everyone's waiting for this, but everyone knows what a shark looks like. So it's quite intriguing, like, oh, we know what it looks like, but we don't know what it looks like.
I mean, there's also the story that, so there was, I told you this, that Jean-Claude Van Damme was going to play the Predator.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is he is a martial artist and he's short.
Yeah.
And Jesse Ventura, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers.
They're all tall.
They're all like over 6 foot, and they were all big.
You were saying that after
they
we
were all
watched
beefy men.
Yeah. Didn't you see that they all nearly died of like dehydration like 18 times because they kept working out in the middle of this hot jungle?
I just read that one of the guys used to work out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So that nobody else was in the gym.
So it was cooler.
So they just thought man, I'm just fit. I don't need to work out. I've just, this is just the body I've got. But he didn't want them catching him in the
Oh my god.
gym. But yeah, so anyway, so they had Jean-Claude Van Damme was going to be the monster, and the monster looked completely different to what it looks like.
Didn't you say it was like a lobster?
Yeah, it's a weird lobster-looking thing, and then it got redesigned thanks to James Cameron.
Yes, you told me this whole story.
So it got redesigned, and then obviously that's the one that they went with.
Mm-hmm. With pool noodles.
With pool noodles. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of, when they initially filmed it, they maybe thought, well, hold on, let's film these bits, and we'll add this in later on. So the scene where it comes out the forest for the first time, and it kills the first guy, he doesn't need to be...
This is where the jungle's alive?
Yeah, where the jungle came alive and take him. There's no actors in that scene, if you understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you see the predator running. Well, you see the camouflage running towards the camera, and then you see the guy get pulled off camera and the blood spatter.
Yeah, and then
from an acting point,
from a bowl of jelly.
So from an acting point of view, that could be filmed at two separate times.
Yeah.
Same with the scenes where he's standing up in the, they're looking for him, but you don't see him. He could be up in the trees or whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be there to film that. You see them looking.
Mm-hmm. That's the one where he's right in the middle of the opening, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also the times you see him, there's a slight discrepancy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a lot of scenes where he wouldn't need to be there in suit or in costume.
You just probably need someone standing there, and then you can just map out how it would look.
Yeah, even the scene where you see him get shot and they decimate the forest. What happens?
He just runs. And the girl...
Blaine gets shot.
Yeah.
Max sees him and shoots him. Like, the eyes flash, and Max shoots him with his gun. And you see him run away, and then it refocuses on the leaf with the blood on it.
Mm-hmm. That the girl touches.
Yeah, so technically that's an edit, it is an edited scene. That could be two separate scenes. They could have filmed him reacting to nothing, and then they just decimate the forest.
Yeah.
So they didn't really need... It might be like Jaws in that sense, where they didn't actually have a creature design until...
the very end of the film.
very end, and they're like, right, we now need to film a scene where Arnold beats up an alien.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have an alien. What have you got?
Yeah.
So it might have been something like that. But from that point of view, I think it works really well because you don't see the Predator. The problem with, I think, a lot of the other ones is that everyone knows what the Predator and the aliens look like. So it's taken away the fun of it, if you understand.
Yeah.
And I think in the sequel, it tries to do the same thing again. I know there's a lot of scenes where it's camouflage. There's a couple of scenes where it pops out of camouflage, but I think that's just to say, look, it's here and it's back again, and
yeah,
this is what it is.
And that makes sense for it to like...
So, at some point, Predator 2.
Yes. New
Right.
podcast.
New
Predator
podcast.
2.
We'll get on it.
Mm-hmm.
Pinnacle podcast. Aliens.
Yes.
Best action movie. Best action movie you've seen so far. Any movie?
Any other film? There's a lot of good action films.
Okay, if I say, right, let's watch an action movie right now, what would you go to?
Probably like Infinity War or Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious 5, I like that one.
I love that one.
We need to do the Fast series.
That's what we can watch, except Tokyo Drift.
Okay, fine. Right, that's us for now.
Bye.
Bye.